Okay, welcome to number 3 in our series of short webinars designed to cover the features and benefits of Leica Captivate software. I'm Brad Beeler. I work for MTS in our Wappingers Falls, New York office, and I'm joined by Pierre Labbé, Director of Technical Support at Leica Geosystems. Leica Captivate software, this is the field software that's been developed by Leica to support their hardware innovations for GPS and TPS, for auto height, auto pull, tilt compensation, scanning, imaging, and all the newest tech that's packed into these survey instruments now. Tonight's session, as well as all the future sessions we do, will be recorded and made available on our website and on YouTube. And the links are here on the screen. Tonight's session is entitled The Measure Application, and it will cover everything having to do with capturing and visualization of point, line, and area data in Captivate. We'll also be showing you some little tips and tricks that'll make your data collection more productive, quicker. So without further ado, let's get started with session number 3, The Measure Application. Please feel free to type questions into the chat if you want to, and we'll try to get to them. And if we don't, then we'll certainly respond in an email. So, Pierre?
Yes, Brad.
Can you take over the screen?
Yeah, let me share my screen. Let me know if you see it.
Yep, you're good.
Perfect, perfect. So good evening, everyone. Like Brad mentioned, my name is Pierre Labbé, and I'm the Technical Support Manager at Leica Geosystems. And this evening, I'll go over the Measure application. And before getting to it, let me just quickly summarize what we want to go over during this session. And we always try to make those sessions kind of short, 30-minute to 45-minute. But there's, even if it's only the Measure app, there's still a lot to cover in it. So like you see, we'll go under the function button and the settings, and we'll look at some settings dedicated to the Measure app. Then we'll look at some display option, also what you can turn on and off to configure the display in Captivate in the Measure app. We'll talk about the split screen and the full screen. If you're familiar with Captivate, you might have seen it, but maybe I've not done anything with it, but I'll do a quick demonstration. We'll look at the viewing, the icon, the different icons, 3D view, 2D view, the zoom and pan. We'll go through all of those different options. The press and hold, there's a lot there, and the development team of Captivate are always improving the tap and hold functionality in Captivate. So we'll quickly show you how you can easily create points, lines, stake point, access some COGO functionality, exit point, exit line, all of that by making selection on the map view. Then we'll do some coding also. There's a lot of online video you can find on coding, so we'll do some basic coding, but we won't spend too much time on it. I'll show you some new tips and tricks, new tools that were developed for the line work. We'll take some images. Currently, I'm connected, and you'll see it soon with my Captivate software. I'm connected right now today to an MS-50 that has camera. So we'll see what we can do with images. And then we'll do some tools. We'll look at some tools related to the Measure app application. And like the check back site, checkpoint, Measure foresight, two-phase, two-store. And finally, we'll see if we have time. I'll try. I might do it quickly at the end, but just like a quick export of data to review in Infinity. The main reason I'd like to go there is to show you like check backside, checkpoint, measure foresight, how we can review that information within the Infinity software. And I might also export quickly an FBK file right from Captivate, and I got my Civil 3D already open, so I might be able to just import a FBK file in Civil 3D and some align work that I will collect this evening being drawn automatically in Civil 3D. So that's a summary of what I want to cover this evening. So let's just get out of that presentation and get into Captivate. So I'm in Captivate. I'm connected to my instrument now. I made a job already. I already did a setup, and just for your information, we saw that on the last webinar, or the one before. But that job I just created, if I review the property, just to give you an idea, I have a link job that I'm using. So I'm at my office here and I've done a lot of topo around the office. So I'll use it as a background, as a link job. So I could use some point for stakeout if I want, but I see myself on top of additional jobs. So I'll show you, I could remove that link job at any time if there's too much information on my map view. But currently, I have a link job and I also have some link design data. I have a DTM surface and I have a road design that I made in the parking lot. They are linked to my working job right now. So if I go to the Measure app, I'm currently set up. You see the instrument. You always see where the instrument is aiming with that yellow line. So, and I can zoom out. And one thing you'll see, again, you see a lot of points and line in the background, okay? But if I click on my job name on the upper left, this will show me the points, the line within my working job. And I only have like 6 points in it. And those are the points I use to do my resection and my setup. But I don't have any lines, any images yet, no scan, no image group in the 3D view within my working job. Those are the only point I have in my working job. Okay, so it's pretty clean, and that's the job we will export at the end of the session. But you're seeing a lot of point in the background, and the reason for it, like I said earlier, I have a I have a link, a job in the background, so I can see point, and those are all gray out. So if I'm doing a topo in a job site and I want to see where I left yesterday, I can link that job and I would see where I left, and all the points that you will collect in your current working job will be in bold, so you can easily see the difference between the points. So that's one thing, and that's why you see point in the background. The other thing, while we're here and the map view, my parking lot in front of the building, if we look at we'll look at some settings to start with before using the app. But if I go into the settings and we have some display settings, and we have those settings in all of our app where you see a map, points, you can select what you want to view being displayed on the map. So currently I have my point ID and my point code. I like to see my code next to my point as I topo. Line, you can see, you can turn on and off lines, but what I'll do right now, I'll turn on my alignment. It was not visible up to now. If I press OK now, you'll see right there. It's gray out. I'm in the Measure app, and the Measure app, it's not an app where I would use a road design, so it's gray out in the background. But if I was going to jump into my road application, but then my road design will become available to be used. But it's right there in front of my office. And now it's visible because I turn it on. And if I keep going for DTM, I can turn my DTM on. And now you'll see I got my triangulated surface in front of my building. And now it's gray out. I'm not in an app currently, the Measure app. to use a DTM, but if I go in an app like DTM Stakeout or the Road app and use a DTM, the DTM will become available. But since it's linked to my current job, I can turn them on and off to view them on the map view. So I'll turn them off. I don't need to see them right now, but that's one thing you can do. Can turn on and off some information from the map view. And the last and not the least, under the display settings, again, the last one is background image. And since version 9, I think 9.0, it's been there before, but since version 9, we automatically added a web services that should be available in the Esri word imagery. So if you are currently on your controller connected to internet and you want to see a background image, and instead of none, you switch to from web services and you pick Esri, press OK. That will turn on background image so you can see where you are on top of a live background image at any time, as long as you have your internet connection. So you can visualize the work that you've done, on top of a live background image as kind of a visual check. So, but to work with, I'll turn it off, but it's a nice option to do some visual check. So that was for all those display settings. While we're here, if we talk about the zoom option in a 2D and 3D view, you got the eye here. So most of the time you're in 2D view by default, and then you can zoom in and out. If you don't select anything under zoom, then you can pan. You can zoom to a fence to focus in an area. This tool right there, zoom to a point or zoom to the prism. This is a really nice one. You work with a robotic total station, you're locked to a prism and you're moving around with the prism and it's following you. If you pick this option to follow the prism, it will, on the map, as you move out of the map, it will recenter the prism. So you want this is like center to prism. So when you're locked to a prism, it will always recenter the prism. So the prism will always be on the map, so you don't have to pan to search for the prism. And then you got also center to a point. So, and for GNSS, again, it's easier for me to do those webinars with total station, but with GNSS, you got zoom to your GNSS position. So it's to your GNSS antenna. So again, same thing, it's following you. As you move out of the map, it will recenter to your GNSS position. And if you have an instrument with camera in it, you'll have the camera here that you can access, and we'll come to that one later. And we have a tool here to do some selection, to select those are quite useful if you work with background or reference file like DXF, IFC file, and you want to select a building corner from an IFC file or from a DXF. So you pick element from drawing and you can import them easily. So, and then 3D view, you can switch to 3D view. And then if I go to zoom, there's one more option to zoom, it's the orbit. So you can now zoom around in the 3D view and rotate. So sometime that could be useful to do some point validation. So here, I'm into my in a room here. I got some point on the ceiling, so I can see they are above the instrument. So sometime for visual check, 3D view could be useful. I can switch back to the plan view. So those icons, again, you see them from the 3D viewer, but you see them in any app with a background, a map. So the split screen. So right there, since we talk about the screen here, you got 2 arrows right there. You can either maximize the view. So if you would like to do some topo, you've done your coding and you're using the same code, you won't change your code or your point ID and you want to topo around and have a big screen, you can maximize the map view and then you can put it back the way it was. Or the opposite, if you don't want to see the map view, you can maximize what's written on the left side. And this could be useful if you're doing some coding and you want to view multiple code boxes. Normally you'll see like 4 code boxes and the other one will be hidden underneath and you'll need to scroll up and down. But here you can see 8 code boxes at the same time and move around them. So you got the possibility here to hide all the text and just stay in the map view, or completely hide the map view and just work with all the possible, maximize your screen to work with some text and coding. And I'll go back to my measure screen. Okay. So before we measure anything, so we saw the display option, the split screen. We saw the option on the right side, all the zoom, the 2D, 3D view, and the display option to hide information from the map view. The function key, again, almost one of the most important button on your keyboard. The function will always give you settings. So in any app, F1 on a function, F1 will be your settings to customize the application you're in. And if we look at the settings that are available for the Measure app, there's not a ton, so there's not too many of those. You got 2 options on top. You can add additional page and you can measure point automatically. So if I go back to the main screen, in the Measure app, you always have 2 boxes. I say always, not always. The icon with the 3 and the fence, you get that if you use the coding method to do line work. If you don't want to do any line work and you use the coding method, no line work, then this icon won't be there and you'll only have one page where you can enter point ID, target, and your code, and you won't do any line work. So, but if you code, and I can go there quickly, just as an example, if I go to my main menu and I go to my general settings and I go into my customization and I can customize the way I want to code, I'm set to create line work. If you are using the method no line work, then when you go to Measure app, there's only one page available. You don't see that coding. And then you've got an option here to do point ID, target, item, code, and you'll do everything from that page. So, but I'll go back to, I want to do some line work. So I'm going to use the method to create line work. And then I'll see that second page that is dedicated to do some coding and line work. But you can add 2 additional pages. So if I select both of them, they'll be listed right there. So page 2, page 3. The name of it could be changed. I'll show you where. Page 2, typically by default, page 2 will be a page where you can manually enter some offset value. So for total station, if you want to take a shot that you cannot measure directly with the prism, but you're like a foot away and you can enter like a foot offset to the left or right to calculate that position, that location, then you will be able to quickly go here. If you have that page on, you can enter an offset and then take a shot, and that point will be added in the proper offset location. Third page, again, it's not configured for anything specifically right now. I see my point ID and I see a horizontal vertical angle, but you can customize those pages to display whatever you want to see. If you'd like to see your northing, easting, and elevation live at any time, you could customize those 2 pages. Okay. So if I go back, where to go to customize them, again, if we go to setting and customization, we have user-defined page. And page 1, it's the measure page that you're in by default that you can customize with the edit button. You can customize what you see in the measure page. If I pick page 2 and I want to edit that page 2, then it says like those are my offset, and I got some room for annotation. And if I pick page 3, edit, then here I got a horizontal separator. So if I would like to see as an example, I'm just going to put the northing right there. I won't go through all of that, and I would like to be change the name of it maybe for coordinate. Again, I got northing. Let's see if I can find the easting pretty quick. Yes, and maybe the height. So pretty quick, press OK on it. And then if we go to Measure App and we go to that page right there, I got northing, easting, and height. So right there. So function, settings, the name of the page now, it's my coordinate page, so I can see the name of it. But again, they are not there by default. You can turn them on and off at any time. And then the other one, the other settings, it's to measure point automatically. Some of you might have used that tool. It's to set your instrument, and we have the same option with GNSS, to automatically measure a point by some criteria, either by time. You want to measure a point every 5 seconds, 10 seconds, by distance, every foot. And I'll do an example about that one. Every difference in height. So as you walk or drive somewhere, as soon as there's a 3.2 feet height difference, it stores a point, so it doesn't store point for nothing, only when there's a difference in elevation of that magnitude. You got distance and height, so you can make a combination here. And distance and time, it's like a stop and go. You move for a minimum distance, and then if you stop for like 1, 2, 3 seconds, and then it take a shot, so you don't have to press anything. You just move with the rod for a certain distance minimum, and then you stop for a few seconds, and then it will measure a point automatically, and you move on. So, but as an example, and you can also do just by key press. But if I pick distance and a foot and press OK on it, you got that additional page right there. And you got a different range of point ID. I'll go with the 10,000 range for those. And I'll measure those points on the wall here, just to demonstrate. And then when you're ready, you can also do some offset. So you can enter an offset right and left. And when you measure your point at specific distance, it also will add point offset left or right. So if I do start, it store a point, and I'm not moving right now. But if I just slightly move, as soon as I will have moved a foot, and I'm not moving really quick right now. I'm just turning the vertical circle. But as I move around, it's just like as you walk, this could be useful on an ATV, mount the prism, and then you just kind of drive, in a big open field. But I'm not touching any button now. I'm just like moving, and I can hit stop right now. That's kind of enough. But again, I measure point here with a foot between them using the automatically measure point. So if I'm done with it, function settings, I don't want to see that page anymore on top of my screen. I'm done, and now I'm back to my regular topo. So go back here. I'll change my point ID for 1000 because I want to do now some topo. So zoom out, try to zoom. Again, we'll work inside that area right there. Let me turn on just to make my life easier, my red laser. So we'll do some coding and basic line work. So I want to start at 1000. I'll go to my coding, and I'll just add a code. Let's say I want to do just a ground shot. So again, in my code list here, I'm using like alpha, but it could be alphanumeric, and I have a description next to it, so that's the way I build my code list. So I pick my code, ground shot, and this is going to be a point. It's not going to create any line. So just to start, very simple. I got my ground shot right there. So there's that on the code boxes, there's multiple area on it that you can click in the field. If you do line work, you'll get the line number in the upper right corner. On the lower right corner, you got a page if you want to add some notes and attributes that are linked to that point. So in my code list, ground shot has already been created to use attribute 1 and 2 to make some note that can be reviewed in the office. And I can click on the code itself, like not the code, but the symbol for the coding, if it's a point or if it's a line or if it's if I want to start a line. And then I can pick some option to do some line work. So I don't want to do any line work. I'll leave it as a dot. And that button to the left, it's been added more recently in Captivate a few versions ago, but it's allowing you to trigger the measurement, store the point, and use the code at the same time. So if you have multiple code boxes, and I'll show you that later, instead of moving up and down to pick a code and then pick measure, you just click that play button. So currently, if I'm ready, if I want to take a shot, I can simply press that button and my point has been stored. So, okay. And stop. Let me just stop here. And let me just change to a single shot. So I got my point 1000. So that's one thing here with, if I take another quick, I'm just going to move briefly and I'll just take a shot. That's another ground shot. So now I got my point and my code. So ground shot. So, okay, I'm done with it. Let's say now I want to do a 3. I can put my code for a 3 and I'll simply move around and just, again, it's a 3. I can just pick that play button. And that's kind of a different behavior I wanted to show here. So when you create attribute, if you really want the people in the field to enter value, you can make those attributes mandatory. And it's all done in the Infinity software. That's the best place to build your code list. But here, for example, for the 3, there's some mandatory attribute that were created. So it pop up, I don't have any choice to enter something. So I'll put like maple, and then I'll put a size. And one thing also that could have been done, you could have a drop-down list here. You can have a choice list that could have been done in the office, to make life easier. And instead of note, you could have species right there. So all those can be customized to make life easier in the data collection in the field. So press OK on it. So now that was a different behavior using attributes. Now, if I want to do a line, I'll do a simple line, like a building line. So now you can see right away, this code is ready to do a line. And in my job right now, MTS Webinar 3, I did not do any of that building line yet. So it's line number 1. So if I put myself into a proper location to start and I want to start the line, I simply have to pick that play button. And as I move now, I can just start moving around. And it's going to draw my line and I won't go. So I'm drawing my line and I could have just used a measure button like you're probably used to. I just want to show you that the play button on the left side, that's what it does. It pick the code and it also take the shot at the same time. So I just did a quick line here and I did not change. If I would have liked to do a 3-point curve, I could click on it and I could begin a 3-point curve and do that curve, but I'll stop there for that one right now. And now I'll do a quick cross section with 3 codes so I can jump between different code, you know. We can also do multi-code, just as an example. Multi-code right there. If you pick multi-on and you have multiple codes selected, I could take a shot, you know, and it could be a building corner and a tree as an example. And when you take that shot, Captivate will create 2 points at the same location. One point will take one code and the other point the other code. So it's right there, multi-off, but the option is there at the bottom at any time if you want to do some multi-coding. Those code boxes, I have only 3 now, but sometimes you can have more than 3. It will make a drop-down list. You can clear them at any time. So clear one code only, the selected one, or clear all, just to get back where I was. And now I want to do an edge of asphalt, and then I would like to do a center line, and then I would like to do another edge of asphalt. So again, now I want to run kind of a quick cross section. I got an edge of asphalt, center line, and edge of asphalt. The thing is now I got 2 same code, EOA, and I want Captivate to separate them. I don't want them to be joined together on a line. It's 2 separate lines. So my line number right there will be the way to differentiate them. Again, I'm doing all of those coding stuff on the map view. You click on those code boxes. Define button right there. If you just want to press define, you have access to increment the line work here too. You can do string plus or minus. And if you want to change the line work, you can click on the line work to change it right from here. You can access the attribute of the selected code. So I can do function again, but that, oops, escape, sorry. But I can go back. So what the define here allow you to do everything you wouldn't normally do on the box by themselves, so without having to use the touchscreen. So I'm quickly going to, you could also do it when you do 2 things. I could just click on those boxes one at a time to do my cross section, but you can also under function tools, some of you might be aware, just try a zigzag. As soon as you turn on the zigzag, there's a play button. It's kind of small, but I just turn on my zigzag. So at this point, I can simply take a measure, and as soon as I take the shot, then the code will be highlighted in the middle, and it's going to do a zigzag with my code. I don't have to think about them. I'm just measuring now, and you'll see soon on the map. I'm getting there. There we go. Okay. I'm just simulating stuff on the ceiling here. Not that easy. It's not going to be pretty, but the goal is not here to be pretty. Here we go. Measure. Well, what I'm doing here, you can see it from the map view that I'm doing a cross section. Line are being drawn, and I don't have to do anything with my code boxes. The only thing I need to focus on, it's simply to look where I'm going and press the measure button. And I'm just going to take a last shot here. Again, simulating stuff in a small room, it's not easy. I'm on the ceiling here. So, but here I just did a cross-section function, and I can do a clear all for all the box, and I can do function and tools, and I can go back to manual code selection. So I'm back where I was. Okay. The zigzag, now with the play button, I do the zigzag. Without the play button, you needed to pick the box and then press measure. But with that play button, you just click on it. So it's almost as quick, just to click on the play button to do the zigzag manually instead of using the tool to do the zigzag. So we got multiple options to do the same thing. One thing here also, what's nice, the last thing about the line work, at any time, if I want to, I'm going to position myself, but I would like to keep working on that line that I started there. And I don't remember the line number, so you can highlight any line and press a few seconds on the screen, it automatically reopen that line with the proper line number. And then if I take a shot, it will just continue that line. So now I just extended that line, and then I can do function clear all. So those lines, you can click on them and reopen them at any time. So talking about those lines, the map view, what can you do for them on the map view itself? Few things, I could click, if you click anywhere and you hold a few seconds, you got the choice, you could manually create a point anywhere you want. So you'll get the coordinate of it. You'll need to guess the elevation. So you got the coordinate of where you click on the screen. So another way, the other option, it's like if you don't have anything selected, it's to have the instrument automatically turn where you click. So if I know I'm close to 0.51 right now, and I want the instrument to turn here, well, you could click on it quickly, and you can do either turn to point. So if you pick a point, it will turn to that point. If you pick an open spot, you can make the instrument turn anywhere. So that's one thing about the map view. But then if you select something and you press a few seconds, based on your selection, you'll get choices. So that could be really useful if you want to do some co-go functionality. But one thing here, if you just select one point, you can turn to a point. You can check point, and I'll show you that later. You can stake that point if I need to quickly go into the stakeout app and stake that point. You can edit that point. So if I edit that point, I see the point ID, the coordinate. I can see the review, the observation, and I could change the target height if I made a mistake. Code, if I have a wrong code, I can change the code, and I can enter some annotation, and then I can store the changes to that point. So from the map view, you can edit the point. The other way would be to go to your job by itself, find the point, and edit. So map selection could be useful. And you can clear selection at all time. Another thing now, if you got 2 points selected, now you got a different option. So based on the map selection, you'll get some specific option you can pick from. So 2 points, you can start to create a line automatically between those 2 points. So if I have points in my job and I would like to make a line between them to go and use into the reference line application. So I got those points, and I would like a line between 0.1, 10,000 and 10,004. You make sure you can clear everything. Then you pick the 2 points you want and create a line. You can pick the color you would like that line to be on your map view. It's always black by default, and you could change the style, and then I can just hit store on it. So now I just made a line, and that line is in my job, and I could use that line into a stake to line or measure to line application. So that was done by selecting 2 point. So you can zoom out, but again, based on your selection, you got 1 point. If I need an inverse between 2 points, I can pick 2 points from the map, click anywhere, do a co-go, and based on 2 points, I can do an inverse right from here, and now I got the inverse between the 2 points. So on the map view, there's a lot that can be done. So I'll take a quick shot, and we'll go to the images, and then we'll do a few additional, we'll look at some tools. But if I pick a code for a sign, it's going to be as I have a code for a sign, and I'll take a distance. So that sign is right there. Okay, and then I can just store that sign. And now I would like to take a picture. So you can access the instrument camera. Whoop, I take escape. I can access the instrument camera, right? If you have an instrument with an eye, you'll see the camera right there. So now I'm seeing a view from the camera. I see the point I just took underneath. If you have an instrument TS16 with only one camera, the overview camera, that's what you see. Here you can switch camera if it's an MS50 or 60 with 2 camera. You got dual axis camera, so on axis camera, sorry. So now I can kind of zoom way closer to it, but I'll switch to my on axis, not on axis, sorry, overview camera. So I can switch camera here and I can go back to the plan view. There's another camera further down, and this is the camera from your controller. So, or it's to take a picture. The controller, I'll come back to that one. But if I want to take a picture now, I can take the picture and it will transfer the picture now from my instrument to my controller. And I can attach that picture to a point. And then in the office, we can easily review that point and the picture will come up with that point. So here, as soon as it's done transferring the picture, I'll be able to review that picture and I can make some notes on it. So with my picture, again, I can, before storing the picture, I can decide if I want to write on it. I can pick a color, I can pick a thickness, and then I can kind of highlight something. I can write on it. I can put some text on it. And when I'm done, I can store the picture. And when I store the picture, I'm prompt how do I want to link, you know? I can link into the last point I took or select a point from my job, but don't link that picture at all. So I'll pick last, since I took that point and I took a picture of it after last, automatically store that image with point 1017. So if I go back to map view, go to my job, you know, that's a shortcut. If you click on your job name in the upper left, you'll get into your working job and you can see that there's an image now linked to 1017. So, okay. So, let's look at we saw the settings. Let's look at some tools that we have within the Measure app. Some popular tools that I want to demonstrate quickly: check backside, checkpoint, and then next, measure foresight. So checkpoint, if you simply want to check a point, I want to check point 51, and I know it's a prism. I can turn to, so if you pick any point, let's say you want to check, it could be a backside and you just want to do a check on it, or you have another prism somewhere and you want to do a check shot. If I turn to, so you can pick the point, you can do a turn to, and it's looking at the target. I can take a distance on it. It's a round prism and I'll see some delta value. I'm good with it. If I store the point, so I store that and the instrument turned back where it was aiming. So in my database, that point now has been checked. It was 51 and I took a shot on it. It's not going to do an average with an existing 51. It's stored in the database as a checkpoint. And in the Infinity software, we can see every time a checkpoint was done in the field. So if you would like to get the field crew, the people in the field, to do a check shot like every hour on their backside as a check shot, but they can use that, take a shot on it, and it's going to be stored as a checkpoint, and we can easily review what was done in the Infinity software. And I'll show you how it looks. If I do a check backside, my backside was 0.50. As soon as I pick check backside, it turned to it. Now it's look, I can take a distance, but now it's showing me I'm pretty close to it. I could store it, or I can do a reset angle. If you do reset angle, it will reset the 0 to the backside, and it will create a new setup in Captivate. And that new setup will be visible into Infinity software. You'll see a known backside setup or resection, but suddenly you'll see a set orientation setup after. So that's something we see a lot also. So, and I'll do it just to show you. If I do a reset angle, and my station and orientation have been set. So I just did a brand new setup now. And now I'm back now to my Captivate app. So those two tools, reset backside, check backside, and checkpoint could be pretty useful tools. The last one and not the least, if you want to traverse and you want to set a foresight point and you want to turn a few different sets of angle, like 2-3 sets of angle, we have some tools, some application in Captivate to like sets of angle or traverse. But within the Measure app, there's a tool called Measure Foresight. That it's built in the Measure app, and it's made to turn angular value to a foresight or multiple foresight. And I'll do a quick example here. As soon as you go in, you can pick your measurement sequence. I'll do a backside foresight, phase 1 foresight backside, and I'm going to use auto target aiming. It will recognize that I've done a backside, so I can use my current backside as my reference point. That's what I'll do. And now I want to turn to, I'll call it 60, and then I'll put myself back to a circular prism. I'll tell my instrument to find that prism. You just do it one more time. It was, I touched the instrument. Here we go. So I'm locked to target. I'm 5 feet. I'm just going to do 2 sets here. So here you can define, you put the point number, your target height, how many sets you want to do. I'm making 2 to make it quick. And then I'm ready to go. I can start measuring. So now it knows my first foresight point. It's asking me, do I want to do multiple foresight at the same time? I can do add another foresight or a third one, and it will turn all of those angle. But I can say done. If I'm done, I just want to do one. And from that moment now, the instrument spinned on phase 2, and now it's going to do my 2 sets. So we'll let the instrument turn. And we're almost done. So once it's done, you get the result. You could add additional sets if you want. You can review some standard deviation. So I'm pretty good. Vertical spread is pretty big here. I don't know the instrument, and keep in mind I'm inside really close, so I can expect the vertical not to be that great. So I'm not too worried about that. But you can view it, look at the view. So that was my backside, my foresight. So if I'm done, I just simply press OK, and I'm back to, I can keep doing some topo. So that's a really nice, easy, quick tool, to collect traverse data. And I'll put myself, one last thing I want to demonstrate, and then we'll move on to, I'm going to clear all code. There's another tool if I'm going to turn on my red laser. And function, there's a 2 faces that you might have seen, So if you quickly want to take a 2-face measurement, and I'll do it here, 2 faces. So the instrument will take a phase 1, will spin around, phase 2, and come back. So there's good and bad about it. And I'll just show you the main difference in here. So now that point has been collected with the 2-face. And if I review that last point, what was that point number? Let me see, 61. So if I review that point 61, and I look at the coordinate, the observation, it's going to tell me it's been done in 1 and 2 phase, and I'll get my average horizontal and vertical angle and slope distance. But there's no way in the office we will be able to see what was my phase 1 measurement and what was my phase 2 measurement. So you simply get the result of a phase 1 and phase 2. So all depend what you want to do, all depend what data you want to be able to analyze in the office. That two phases, it's a quick way to get a two phases measurement, but there's less information that you can analyze compared to if you would have take a phase 1 measurement and store it, and phase 2 and store it, to have a phase 1 and phase 2 observation to review in the office. So we've seen, again, it's already been 50 minutes. We've seen a lot of different tools, about the Measure app, the function settings. We saw the function and just like some of the most important tools. The map view, what can be done. So if I'm done in here, I'm just simply going to click here and just export my data. I'll export it into an FBK file, and it's done. And if I want to send my file to the office, I can use GeoCloud Drive. You might have heard about it. That can send your file into a cloud, your job into a cloud, and then you can access it from anywhere. So that's what I'll do. It's a shortcut here to send my job to GeoCloud Drive, and it's going to access my cloud project, and I can pick between multiple projects I might be working on. And I'm currently, I can go back here, but this is all the projects that are available on my cloud. So I can go into the MTS Captivate webinar, and I want to send my job right here. So I can just press upload and look at the status, and I'll look at the upload status right there. And upload successful. So my job is ready to be used now anywhere in the office, but it's also it's ready to be used within Leica Infinity, because we have a direct link within to GeoCloud Drive. So so if I go in Infinity, my Infinity project, it's already open, so just made it quick. If I go to import and I look on the left side and I look into my GeoCloud Drive, my MTS, and I call it, here we go, MTS Webinar 3. That's my job. I can just import. So I'm getting that job just from my GeoCloud Drive, and I see my points. So some line work that was done, some lines. I can see check shot. So, and one thing I wanted to show under the TPS page, since we're dealing with TPS data, check. That's what you'll see. When you do a checkpoint, every time a checkpoint was done in the field, you can see what time it was done, and you can see the delta value. So you could use check shot, checkpoint to check your back slightly regularly. So on an hourly basis, if you want, or more than that. But there's an easy section in Infinity that you don't have to search, or you don't have to code an observation to be a checkpoint. It's being flagged in the database, and you can easily review your checkpoint. And for the measure foresight, but then there's a specific section for measure foresight here that I can see. My measure foresight, I did two sets here. Again, my first set and second set to my 0.60. So I can review all my raw data that were measured phase 1 and phase 2. And I could use those measure foresight to build a traverse and adjust my traverse in Infinity. But this is all easily accessible, within Infinity under the TPS page. And of course, all the rest is all the typical view. And if I open my Civil 3D, and I'm just going to quickly import some survey data, and I'm just going to browse to find a file I've just done. We've done the let me just go back. Did I pick I'll export the data. Oh, I pick internal memory right there. Oh, it doesn't recognize my Let me just fix one thing. It just did not recognize my export data. FBK did my USB. Here we go. No, sorry for that. It's I had a small issue with my USB stick. That's my FBK file. I want to open it. Next, and then I'm just quickly go line work finish. And yeah, I can close that, and I can just quickly. So again, my goal was not to spend time in civil, but just to show, you know, that we got the tree. It says it's a maple 20. We got the line. It's all in the proper layer. This is all. If all the configuration is done properly, it should be as easy as that, you know. So this is all the line work we've done in the field. It's now in Civil 3D. We can go in other CAD package, and we see the same information all in Infinity to be able to review and do some fixes. Good. Longer than I thought. Sorry for that, Brad and everyone on this webinar, but I think I'm over. I don't know if there's any question, you know, while I'm here.
So yeah, the questions would have to go into the chat if you want to ask anything. If you want to go a little deeper into any of this, please feel free to give us a call. Here's my email address, the Leica's email address, but of course you can contact your local sales representative wherever you happen to be in the Northeast here in the MTS territory. Thank you, Pierre, very much. And there was a lot to cover, and you managed to do it all in less than an hour, which is impressive. So I know you think it went long, but it was perfect.
No, and I think the good thing, Brad, I think since it's being recorded, at least people can review it and can pause, you know, so yep. That's a good thing. So
absolutely, yeah. This will probably be posted along with the other two that we've done on our YouTube page, and you can see the address there for that. And then, and if you have any other questions, like I mentioned before, please feel free to reach out. But thank you very much for attending, and we'll see you again in about a month with another one.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, Pierre. Thank you.
Bye-bye.